Good morning. Welcome to the Science of Mind class. I'm Dr. Petra. Happy Easter. We're so happy to be here on Easter Sunday, Easter morning, to be together, and we're happy to have people in the room and those of you online. It's great. Life is good. It's beautiful. It's lovely. We're super grateful. All right, so we are continuing on in the general summary. I told you it was a really long chapter, so just hang in there, right? We're kind of wandering through all the pieces of the whole book in its entirety here in the general summary. So we're on page 400, and we are in the summary around our work, spiritual mind treatment, and the work that we do when we are consciously co-creating. So the third, so we talked last week, we talked about this idea that the idea of a successful life will create success, right? It's the holding of the idea in our consciousness and trying to feel into it and imagine it and experience it and embody it so that it's real to us. Or it's not just as an idea, not just as a wish or a hope, but something that we actually try to live into. And when we make it real to ourselves, that's what then gives the new direction to the law, to the power that is constantly creating things. So what happens if we don't know what we want? We did talk a little bit last week about generality or specificity. How specific can we be? Well, we can be as specific as we want to be. I mean, we can say we want this particular kind of experience, or we can say we want an overarching experience. If one does not know exactly what he or she wishes to do, we should treat ourselves for general success in whatever we attempt to do, right? So maybe we can't walk around in our successful business quite yet, in our minds, in our hearts. Maybe we're still not exactly sure what that looks like, or we're not exactly sure what our contribution is, but we can feel the general feeling of success. When have we been successful in the past? When have we been inspired by somebody else's success? Right? And so we can start with a very general feeling, and as we become more clear, we can certainly become more specific. We can treat ourselves for guidance into the knowledge that which would be best for us to do, remembering that the inner mind knows infinitely more than the intellect. And it's the inner mind, right? Often I hear people say, well, spirit will figure it out. No. Spirit as you, the intelligence which is the universe as you, actually has the intelligence to do everything. And so that's the guidance that we're listening for, is that intuition, that intelligence, that direction that we can hear. So for me, one of the affirmations I've used for years and years and years, I've used the affirmation, I don't really know what to do, but there's that within me which does. I may not be sure what to say or do next, but there is that within me which does. And that within me which does know is, in fact, the infinite intelligence. And it's the infinite intelligence as me, not the infinite intelligence somewhere out there that I'm hoping is going to drop it in my lap. But it's the infinite intelligence as me. And so it knows how to take ideas and form these objective circumstances around it. So I love this. Naturally, the sooner we know just what we want to do, the quicker we shall create mental images that are definite, and the creative mind can more quickly set to work to carry out our plans. So again, what I notice is that sometimes people, we're more likely to say, well, I don't want to be too specific because I don't want to limit myself. But the problem with that is we're really not giving direct impress to the law. We're not giving clear direction. And so it does allow for serendipities. It does allow for surprises. No question, we can say this or something better. But usually we start out with this or something better. And so this actually is something more specific. So over and over and over again, we are reminded that it's actually our job to create. And it's okay to want. It's okay to have a desire that says, I want this. Out of the co-creative process, we discover which desires actually allow us to fulfill ourselves, to give our contribution, and which desires are trying to fill up the God-sized hole with something outside of ourselves, or keeping up with, our friends and family, right? We actually begin to educate our choices and learn about the things that really make a difference to us, as opposed to the things that we think are going to make a difference to us. But simply being told, that's not really going to help, right? Most of us, we have to have the experience ourselves. We have to, right? We manifest a lot of goodies and then go, wait, I'm still not happy. Oh, it's because I'm actually not fulfilling my purpose. I'm actually not expressing myself. I'm just trying to get and get and get and get. But that's part of the process. It's part of the becoming aware. It's part of the spiritual growth process. So I think this next paragraph is really important. Again, because sometimes we think, well, I'm just going to let Spirit do it for me, and we don't realize that what's more likely to happen is that our subjective mind is going to take over. The objective mind alone may consciously decide what is to happen. The objective mind. And the objective mind is the I that I am that says, I'm choosing to create a successful business to clean up the ocean. I'm choosing to become a teacher because I think teaching children is the most important thing. I'm choosing to develop my meditation practice, and I'm choosing to experience a deeper sense of oneness, right? The only part of us that can say that is our objective mind. Not our intellect, but our objective mind, which is the I that I am, which is the part of us that is conscious. Do you see the difference? The conscious part of us and our intellect are not synonymous. The conscious part of us includes our intellect, it includes our heart, it includes our feelings, it even includes our somatic awareness, our body awareness. All of that is our conscious mind. So do not confuse the objective mind with the intellect. What's trying to be differentiated here is the objective mind from the subjective mind. And the subjective mind is not the right brain, it's not our intuition, it's not even our instinct. The subjective mind is where the automatic processes of our consciousness take place. The subjective mind is the place where all the automatic processes work, where our lives are run on habits. And quite frankly, they have to be run on habits, or we would forget to breathe. We need the habit of our heart beating. We need the habit of remembering to eat. We need the habit of moving in the world, right? And scientists have told us that we're experiencing some ridiculous amount of input. Like, I want to say it's like 6 billion bits of input all the time. And our subjective mind is constantly taking all of that in. And it's filtering all of that based on the patterns that we've laid down about what we want to notice, what's important to us, how we've learned to see the world. And so it's our subjective mind that's doing that filtering process and flagging the half a dozen things that are important. Oh, wait, I feel a little chilly. Oh, wait, I'm missing somebody. Maybe they didn't come to my party. Maybe that means they don't like me. Oh, right? It's that, this is the subjective mind filtering the input and bringing to us those things which it thinks, based on our habits, we should pay attention to. The conscious mind may change these thought patterns and thereby cause a different flow of energy and intelligence toward the object of its desires. Do you see? Okay, so, I skipped a sentence, which is just really important. All subjective decisions are merely conclusions built on already accepted patterns, ideas, or premises, ideas, or thought patterns. So subjective decisions are those decisions and choices we unconsciously make. Oh man, I'm going to leave this party because nobody's talking to me, so nobody likes me here. Or, right, or I'm going to leave this party because nobody's talking to me because, they never do. I don't ever have anything to say, right? That's a habitual thought. That's the pattern that's been laid down, who knows how or why, but that's the pattern that's been laid down that is filtering the process, that's filtering what's coming to us. And so it can only draw conclusions from previous premises, ideas, or thought patterns. It cannot decide whether or not the conclusion it's drawing is true. This is the most important part. It can't ask the question, really? These are all my friends. Why would I think they don't like me? It can't ask that question. It only responds from the thought patterns and the premise, the conclusion from all of that is already back in there. And do you see, objective and subjective mind, or conscious mind and subjective mind, have nothing to do with the head and the heart, the intellect and the feelings or emotions, right? Those are psychological ways of thinking about things. The objective or conscious mind is the only part that can inquire into, is it true? Byron Katie's beautiful statement. Is it true? Is it really, really true? Is it really true that I was passed over for a promotion because I'm not good enough? Or is it really or is it true that I was passed over for a promotion because, well, I can think of many societal reasons why one might be passed over for a promotion. Or the reverse, right? Is it really true that I was passed over for promotion because I was not good enough when I realized, I really didn't want to do that much work anyway. I didn't want to get right. I didn't want to have all the managerial weight or whatever it is. Do you see? Only our conscious mind can inquire. And it can inquire into our thoughts and into our feelings. Even our feelings can inquire into how we are responding to what's going on. So objective mind and subjective mind have nothing to do with intellect or head and heart or any of these things. It's really just a question of whether or not we are conscious or not of what's going on within ourselves and how we are giving direction to the law. Because if we're not consciously giving direction to the law, it's all that stuff that's running in the background that is, in fact, giving direction. But when we can change these thought patterns and cause a different flow of energy. The spirit alone, that is the I that I am. The spirit as me, alone, as the power of real self-expression and true volition. That is why we call the conscious part of the mind the spirit of a human being. The conscious mind of the universe, the spirit of God. Right? So it's the same essence. One is universal and one is the individualized human experience, or the individualized spiritual being experience, having this human experience. And so when we say spirit as us, right, it's not the universal spirit who has is making a decision for us. It is the I that I am that is choosing, that is paying attention, that is inquiring. Is this feeling really true? Is this thought really true? Is this pattern not only really true, but is this pattern the way that I want to show up in the world? Only the conscious mind can inquire into the truth of something. Our subjective mind can only draw conclusions based on patterns, ideas, previous things that have happened, the premises that we ourselves have learned or made. Life is hard. How many of us do I hear say, well, it's hard. Well, it's hard, right? That's a subjective premise that we have learned from our families or somehow had the experience ourselves, and that's running in the background, and it's coming out of our mouth until we do the conscious work that says, no, I'm co-creating with the universe, and nothing is hard for the law. Nothing is hard for the law. I mean, my goodness, it's creating hummingbirds and black holes and the universe as a whole and whales and like think of the most amazing thing and irises and you know what I mean? I mean, all of that is just, it's extraordinary. The perfect balance of intelligence that is required to make all of those things. Surely that intelligence can move as me in my life. All right. So the conscious and subjective, and how that works. The last thing is this first sentence on the first full paragraph on 401. Remember that when you use your subjective mind, you are using the creative power of the universe, for the two are really one. There is but one mind, whether it is individual or universal. Remember also that mind in its conscious state is spirit, whether we think of it as in us or in God. That is, whether we think of it as individual or universal. Mind in its unconscious or subjective state is the law of cause and effect, the law in action. So sometimes this is a little tricky, especially if we've done a lot of psychological work, if we've done a lot of work when we recognize that we tend to be overly rational and we're trying to get a hold of our right brain, right? Or we feel as though we've sort of lived from here up in our lives and we want to incorporate our heart, be open to what's going on, and we can incorrectly lay this over top of this very specific work that Ernest Holmes is doing and the Science of Mind is doing with the idea that we are consciously engaged. It's a conscious act to say, I'm moving from my head to my heart. It's a conscious act to say, I'm not just going to analyze something, I'm also going to listen to my intuition. Right? This is a conscious act that the spirit, my spirit, the I amness that I am, is choosing to do rather than simply running on automatic. So let's stop there. This is a pivotal point in our spiritual work. It's pivotal to understand this and to understand where we can actually engage. So let's see. What do you want to share? When have you had a revelation about this? Or what is still confusing about this? What are you wanting to talk about or have a dialogue about? So we have folks in the room. I know we have folks online. So we're going to turn to Ryan and say good morning and see what's going on.
Well, hello everybody, and hello to those in the room that I'm staring in the eyeballs of each one of you. And hello to everybody online who I'm staring at the eyeballs of each one of you. Yeah, it's not so funny because they don't laugh back.
They can't laugh back. They can do little ha-ha reactions.
I just imagine the person who's cooking breakfast right now going, is he really? Maybe he is. We are all one for, sake purposes. Anyways, so this is an engaging dialogue, and so we want your participation in it. And so for the folks in the room here, you can go ahead and raise your hand. Give it a try.
Yay!
All right. All of your hands are working today. Awesome. And so those who are here online with us, I want to see you raise your hand. Just go ahead and hit the raise your hand icon. Let's see how many people we can get to pop up here. Looks like a few people. They're starting to wake up now.
Starting to wake up. Mm-hmm.
And for the person cooking the breakfast, save me a plate.
Don't raise your hand if you've got the egg pan in your hand.
Yeah. And don't raise your hand in real life because I can't see that. Just saying. And for those who are on Facebook, check in and tell us where you're watching us from today because we love to hear from you. I know that we have people all over the world watching us. So it's truly awesome to see that, and so our community also sees that too. Yep. That we are a worldwide organization. So for you, please go ahead and put your questions and comments in the chat, and I'll bring them into the room. So, Petra, are you ready for your first one?
I am. Absolutely.
Before I do it, it came in through the chat, so
Okay.
it looks like we have somebody here in the room. Oh, I forgot the most important person in the room besides you, Dr. Petra. The iconic Richard, who is here to help me with the microphone. So for the people in the room, I'm going to be passing you a wireless microphone. Please state your name, and so that way the people online can hear you as well. So
All right.
here you go.
Hi, this is JL.
Good morning, JL.
Good morning. This has been so helpful to me, just being a part of the center and getting an understanding of moving in the world with intention.
Yeah.
So lately, what I've been working on for myself is the idea, the subconscious idea that taking care of myself is selfish.
Oh,
Yeah. I think that's been ingrained in me, and being a mom and a wife and a business woman, all of those things, trying to figure out the balance
yeah.
of it all. And so one of my aha moments happened really 2 days ago, where I realized I was doing a meditation that was just, how do you feel? I had to ask myself, how do I feel,
Yeah.
and what can I do for you today? And I didn't know what that was, right? But that place inside of me, that God in me, kind of knew what it was. And so it registered that, what I want, what the feeling that I wanted was family oriented. And it was lack of, it was it was like a boundary around, this is work stuff, this
Oh,
is life
yes.
stuff, this is kids stuff, this is
Uh-huh.
what we're going to do today. And so being able to be present in those moments intentionally, and knowing that this is where I've been praying to get to, was really empowering, to be present. So,
JL, thank you so much for sharing that. I love that. And I love that you shared that the manifestation wasn't a thing. It wasn't I'm going to get this thing, I'm going to go on vacation and then I'll feel better, or, right? But that it's about your life. This is work, this is home, my life is home, family. I want those boundaries, right? This is such important work. And when I say that our conscious mind is educated and we're retraining our subjective mind, that's a beautiful example. And good for you. Good for you. I will tell you that it's a really fascinating little factoid that life-work balance didn't become something until the 1970s. It was actually found in women's magazines. Why? Because women worked, were moms, were wives, and for whatever reason, men didn't seem to have that problem. They did not seem to have that problem about keeping the boundary, or knowing that when they got home, they got to put their feet up. Whereas women come home and they do, in fact, take care of the kids and often do the dinner and all of that sort of thing. And so we have had to learn that. And what a beautiful thing to set your intention around. And to ask, what do I need? What do I want? Right? That is really awesome. And our children can be a gift to help us be present. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I love that. All right, Ryan, we're going to see what else is going on. You said you had a comment in the chat.
Well, I did have a comment in the chat, but I'm going to switch it up.
Okay.
I'll come back to the comment in the chat, I promise. I wanted to, so I don't know if your hand is still up in the air, like you just don't care. But what I'm going to do is ask Rena to join us. Rena, do you have something that you'd like to say? If not, just say, hello, bye.
Hi, Rena. Good morning.
All right. So that's hello, bye. All right, Connie, I wanted to turn it over to you. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Good morning, Connie.
Good morning, Reverend Petra. Boy, this is amazing. It's always amazing. two things are happening for me, and it's so good to have a larger context to put this in. One is that a lot of my subconscious stuff is coming to the surface, and I have the option to rewire it or not, to change it or not. And I'm changing a lot of it because a lot of it was, well, negative, basically, I guess I could say. Yeah. Yeah. From childhood and so on. But then another thing that's happening is my intuition is getting stronger and more reliable. It's like I say, okay, and I do it, because my intuition said so. I'm trusting my intuition. And so these are processes that are moving in my life. And I know you're helping us understand all this by what you're saying, but could you help me a little bit more? Like, what's going on here?
Well, it's great. These are both fabulous examples, Connie, of the use of your conscious mind, right? Your conscious mind is the one that is listening to your intuition and deciding to follow it. Because we have to hear that little nudge or feel the nudge, or, well, some people it's a voice, other people it's a feeling or a sense or a little flash of something. And it's our conscious mind that says, oh, I know to follow that, because that's usually a good thing that's happening. And it's our conscious mind. What you're doing is you're saying, no, I don't care for this patterned way of responding. It's negative, and I don't want to be negative. I don't want my life response to always be negative. And so you're rewriting those patterns. And of course, we know from neuroscience, you're literally rewriting the synaptic patterns in your brain, which is just an extraordinary thing. And you're proving to yourself that your conscious mind can, in fact, positively impact your subjective mind, and you're finding yourself actually making those changes. And so it's really beautiful. Both you and JL have really given us lovely examples of how this works. Now, this kind of rewriting does actually take time. It takes time and diligent practice and effort, and over and over and over again, noticing that we're having a unconscious response or an autopilot response to things, and then kicking our conscious mind in and saying, wait, is this how I want to be? Is this in alignment with what I believe? Is this how I want to show up, right? And then having at the ready some new, for me, this is the use of affirmations, some new statement that is constantly rewriting. Like for JL, of course I have time for myself. Of course I take time for my family time. This is family time. It's not work time, right? That's a powerful affirmation. And it doesn't have to be any more, what do I want to say? It doesn't have to be any more fleshed out than that. You know what you mean. This is my family time. This is not work time, right? That's a powerful statement, and continually is rewriting the idea that, oh, I have to be on call all the time because for whatever reasons. So beautiful, and thank you for sharing that. It is our conscious mind that allows us to actually pay attention to our intuition. We have to decide, choose to listen, to learn what it sounds like or what it feels like or how it speaks to us, and then we have to choose to act upon it, which is really great. Thanks for sharing. All right, Ryan.
All right, so now I'm going to go back to the question.
Great.
And for all those quantum theory people,
Yes.
We're going to talk to you for just a moment. So, the question is, just out of curiosity, can you define the idea of law in terms of quantum theory? Is that doable?
Yes, it is actually. And it's actually a really lovely thing to do, because we actually, in the science of mind, we can have a very simplistic idea of the law of cause and effect. We can have a very sort of billiard ball on a table understanding. and I shoot one cue ball at one ball, and it goes a certain way, and it hits another ball, and it's all very linear. And yeah, life just isn't like that, which is why sometimes we get frustrated when we're not actually able to access what's really going on with us, because it's a whole plethora of beliefs and patterns that are constantly working together to create our life experience. And so in the quantum realm, right, this is what's called the probability field. The probability field is where the particularization of a wave, a quantum wave, is going to particularize as an electron or a photon or a something, right? It's called a wave particle. When it's a wave, it's just potential, and they're constantly moving. And they have the waves have certain probabilities in which they're going to particularize. But it's still only a probability, so it's still not an exact location. And that probability is impacted by sort of everything else that's going on. What we do, when one might think about, is that we begin to pay attention to those probabilities, which are the automatic actions of the subjective mind, right? So we don't just have the belief that I don't deserve it. We have, on top of the belief that I don't deserve it, we have the push from our parents that say, always do your best. We have, our teacher who says, you got to achieve stuff. You're really good and you can achieve stuff. And then we have, our response on top of that of losing a baseball game that we loved. Do you see? And all of that creates a probability of the ways in which we are going to respond to certain situations until we become conscious. And then we say, wait a minute, hold everything. I'm going to decide that in this moment, this failure is no more than a learning opportunity. And I'm basically wiping out, right, all the probability of how that's going to play out, and I'm choosing how it's going to play out. And then that moment, what we're doing is we are collapsing the wave function into a specific particularization. And so, I've been saying this for years and years and years, and I love that quantum physics is finally agreeing with me. That we are literally playing with the Play-Doh of the universe. We are rearranging the molecules of the universe. We are, in fact, engaging in a creative process that is so fundamental to the creativity of the universe itself. And we're now participating in that. And so we can go along blithely, allowing the probabilities to play out. And if we have a tendency to be a little more successful than we are to not, right, the probability will be that our business or the thing that we're doing will be a little more successful than not, right, which is why things work out. And yet we can deliberately and consciously collapse that wave function into the particularization of success. And as we mean success, right, and gather those forces, and that's just the law of cause and effect in action. The law of cause and effect is the intention, the idea, whether it's a mental idea or a heartfelt idea or a body felt idea, right? The concept or the experience of it is what gives direction to that probability to become something in particular. And so it is so amazing. It's so amazing to understand that this is what it means, that we're co-creators. We are the universe waking up to its own creative power. This is how the universe creates on the macrocosm, and it's getting to experience creating on the microcosm and going, oh, well, that choice, that was a good choice. That choice, not so well, not so good. That made a mess. That made countless hundreds of years of mess, thousands of years of mess eventually, right? That pattern is going to have to be rewritten. And so that's how we, as individualized expressions of the whole, are actually expanding and growing and cultivating an understanding and a self-knowledge of what really it means to be about life, to love, to grow things, to make conscious choices that really impact in a good way. And not just sort of generically, oh, we want the species to survive. Isn't that really great? And we don't really care about you or you or you or you. We just want, right? That's what the macrocosm is doing. But it's in the microcosm of self-awareness that we begin to say, no, wait, I get to choose. And I want other people to be able to do the same. Okay, that was my response to that. Oh, JL has a comment. That was a great question. Thank you so much.
That was an amazing question. I am just thrilled by the explanation of it all, and knowing that we play a component, a part in that beautiful atmosphere of events that play out. What's so what I thought about, because I'm a Marvel geek, so I thought about a lot of the Marvel movies. And how the quantum field and the facts that things change rapidly by one person's decision or the other's. But what I also thought about is just in life, how our intentions are sometimes like that cue ball, right?
Yes.
When we go and we put it out there, it may not hit right where we want it to, but eventually, all of those little steps takes us to the bigger picture, which is not just the micro, but the macro.
Yes.
And it's so beautiful that we get to be part of that.
It is beautiful. And I think, JL, what's happening is our intention continues to send the new cue balls down, right? And so that one didn't hit quite right, but we're still holding our intention. And so it's not this like linear, I have the cause, I am now abundant, and now I'm abundant, right? A lot of people I find do work about abundance, and actually what they need to be doing work on is deserving, or life is hard, or there's not enough, right? It's actually not about particularly abundance, or it's some combination. And so our intention is we're sending that intention, we're continually engaging with the law so that the outcome over time has to be the effect that we have decided, that we have chosen. And it is beautiful. It is so magnificent to recognize that we are now partnering with the whole in a beautiful way, and that it matters. It matters. That's how important you are. It matters. It makes a difference. Not only does it matter and that it makes a difference, but you are making a difference. You do make a difference. Every time we choose conscious alignment with the things that we value and believe, right? And then we're building the habits where the probability, think about it, our global vision is nothing more than the probability that love will win out as opposed to fear. It's really all it is, right? And it's the shift in consciousness that causes that to be the automatic response. Eventually, that's when we do this work long enough, we realize, wait, I didn't have to choose to be forgiving. I just was forgiving. Oh, I didn't have to choose to be compassionate. I just was compassionate. Do you see, in that moment, you realize you've rewritten the subjective patterns. The pattern of withhold, or the pattern of avoidance, or the pattern of attack, or the pattern of run away, or whatever it is, those patterns have, in fact, been rewritten. Because we can't live without the automatic patterns. What we want is them to be ones that we have chosen, that we have written. The subjective patterns as a structure are never going to go away. It's what that structure contains, the content of that structure. That's what we're changing. And it's really, and then it becomes joy-filled. And then life isn't just about, I'm learning my lessons and I'm healing my trauma and I'm, those kinds of things. It really becomes about the joy of creating. And it can be very simple things. Family time. A beautiful piece of art. Look at this amazing art from Jeff. Oh my God. We were commenting about it this morning, right? A beautiful piece of art and an extraordinary moment of revelation. a business project gone well, an ability to bring about a new invention or contribute to the healing of one of the many issues that we seem to be facing today as humanity on the planet. And yeah, and that's the joy of the creative process, to consciously contribute ourselves, our consciousness, our actions, words, and intentions in alignment with the probability for good to outpicture as opposed to negation. So that feels like a great place to end today. It is Easter Sunday. Happy Easter. And it's a beautiful day for us to celebrate life, the renewal of life, the joy of life, the expression of life, and all the ways that we're going to talk about it. We have a fabulous Easter celebration planned. So join us in 30 minutes this Sunday morning, or you can hop out on the other YouTube video and see the celebration. We have artists, we have musicians, we have all kinds of special things going on. We really love to see you, whether we see you in person or online. Have a beautiful Easter Sunday. Have a beautiful day. Bye for now.